Hey, yes. So we're live now. So hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is you're able to join us. So it's another exciting coaching session. And today we have Leslie Harper, and she'll be speaking to the ladies on family balance. Also, I have here with me Emma, who's going to be the coordinator and translator for the ladies. So much more. Hi, Leslie. Could you tell us about yourself, your business, and of course, we're discussing family balance, so you can as well tell us about your family.
Hi, well, I'm so glad to be here. It's nice to see all of you. My name is Leslie Harper, and I live in Pennsylvania, in the East Coast of the U.S. I am actually on my third career. So I am self-employed as a psychotherapist. So I do therapy, mental health services. And I also, in the last couple of years, I went back to school for training as a life coach and personal development coach. And so I'm also self-employed with that service as well. And I focus on women's, particularly African-American women and women of color, professional women. And I talk to a lot of women in both sides, actually, with therapy and coaching. We talk a lot about that work-life balance, that elusive life balance.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. So Emma, go ahead and tell us about the ladies, just as you do.
All right, thank you very much. So we have 4 ladies, and one of them, Dalisha here, she's going to be a recruit for the next cohort. But we have Elizabeth here, she sells chocolate. Then we have Mary, she sells dry fish. And we have Romance at the back, she has a restaurant. And we also have Catherine, who has a salon at the back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Emma. So yes, over to you, Leslie. We are good to go.
So like I said, I am self-employed and have been for the last couple of years. And I also have a little boy and until recently a husband. And so I do sometimes struggle with that, finding going to work, going to school, going to work, coming home, and even when I worked full-time for someone else, it was harder even than it is now, because now I can work from home, which is nice. So that helped. But it's still a struggle sometimes. And I don't know about you ladies, but I know that here in the States, for African-American women, for Black women, there is this pressure we get from our families that as we're raised to be the superwoman. We have to do everything, take care of everybody, make sure everybody's okay, make sure everything's fine. You know what I mean? Those things, and that puts a lot of pressure on us, and it can be very difficult for us to even look for balance, in our lives with work, family, and all that stuff. So I wanted to ask you ladies, what are some things that you struggle with?
All right, thank you. So, pressure, but dita po abantu. So bagay na question niya wala just kulika na na ni ma pressures ni showble sexy with regards to balancing in your family.
I couldn't quite hear. What you were saying? Were you speaking to me or to the ladies?
Okay, so I was just translating what you were
Okay,
saying.
that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so I've asked them the question like what they are struggling with, and it seems like they are thinking maybe they'll answer as we move forward.
Gotcha. All right. So one thing that I find common that women struggle with is that need to be everywhere, right? We want to be at work, doing our work, whether we're employed by someone else and especially, of course, if we're self-employed. And then we also want to be at home, and it can feel like our attention is divided constantly. And then we can feel like we're not giving enough in either place. Does that sound familiar to you, ladies?
Correct. So but just in question business. So so they have said, yes, it's familiar. There is struggle with balancing between whether being at home or working, especially that they're business owners, they're self-employed.
Okay. And so when you're in that space of that struggle, how does it look for you? Or like, what are some things that you kind of think when you're in that space?
So Mama, where do you right? Okay. So Catherine at the back has a salon, and she has said usually what happens when she's having a debate whether to be at home or go for work, what comes in her mind is, let me go for work and probably look for someone to help me at home. And in most cases, she finds herself at work at the salon than being at home.
Okay, wow, I'm impressed. I wish I had learned that earlier on to do that, because allowing myself to take a break has been difficult in the past, because feeling like I need to do everything on both fronts, and so that's being able to allow ourselves time for ourselves is important. So what do you ladies do for me time? Do you give yourselves me time?
Okay, so okay, so Mary sells dried fish. So she's saying in a free time where she has to be like, this is Mary time, she ends up working on donuts. So I'm telling her that's not your me time because you're still working, just that you're working from differently what you usually do, but something else.
Right.
Yeah. So for Elizabeth, she sells charcoal, and she has said in me time, her time as Elizabeth, what she does when she's not working, she goes to just pray and worship. That's what she does in her time. Okay. So for Kathleen, yes, said she has a salon. So she said in her free time, like her me time, her time as Catherine, what she does is she spends time with her daughter. So she take her out, maybe to play at the park.
Oh, nice. Mhm. So have you ever, oh, sorry.
So how do you do that? More like how do you So the romance at the back in a maroon top, she has a restaurant, and she has said in her free time, her time as romance, she spends time with her children by just asking them questions like, what don't you have? What are you lacking? Yes, so that's what she does. So, Darling Sohie has said in her free time, she goes to visit her friends and just get to talk to them, like the challenges they are facing and where they can help each other. Like just talk about maybe life in general.
That's great. That's great. I'm glad to hear that you ladies are allowing yourselves to have some free time and spend time with your friends and family. When you do that, when you give yourself that time, two questions. Do you find it easy to allow yourself to take that time? And when you do take that time, are you actually being present with it and enjoying it? Or do you have the experience of, again, I'll use myself as an example. Sometimes when I try to take some time, just even just lay down or whatever, I'm thinking about all the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing, and it's not as restful. So I'm wondering if you have that experience too.
Okay, so no hay cada muchas cosas. So according to Dali, so she has said she's unable to just sit or lie down and do nothing because even if when she tries, she starts thinking about things and probably the problems, and she starts thinking about ideas on how she can get out of those. So even if she says, I'm just going to lie down for 2 minutes, she will find herself maybe just grabbing something, maybe go sell this so that I solve that problem. So she doesn't have that time to just lie down and think of like just be at peace. She will just think about the problem.
Right. Yes, I can relate. We all have that voice in our head that's constantly kind of talking at us and talking about, or like the things that we worry about or the doubts that we have. You know, it's always on. And it can be hard to shift our attention away from that conversation that we all have. It's natural. Shift our conversation away from that conversation, to shift our attention, away from that conversation, and then refocus our attention on something that's actually important to us. Like, I need some rest. that's important. And it can be difficult sometimes because that all those other thoughts get in the way. So one thing we can do is decide to be present in that moment of downtime and really be present there. And it might take a little practice, but when you're actually present, then that constant voice, it gets really quiet.
All right, thank you. So welcome back. Once you got both saying, because you said, no, you am supposed to do this. You am you're sure. But sinakutika kwataka voice akaletewa salveshanga chakubati twaye Friday awe imainisha yakupa yapusha just rest do nothing. Now utashuka tayari while posting up who you posting up you decide what you bring mwele mwasala never still nga ngilinga likuchitonga tsananga madhiri mwashiyase na phone so at times you should be trying to train, but with practice, one point train, the one that's okay. Man, the color made the then now chingo kufuna chini ne dance band nimando na sala bomba so like for me lenga tu sala kiasi yenye ipe chakula supposed to buy. Thank you.
So any questions about that? What I just said?
Okay, so actually, number question which can decide no I need to rest. Do you have any questions? That's about should define when you go back to the for example, let's look up what if then I want to feel what's the practice, then look at the design. So, pretty much, much they have said there are no questions since you've said it's just about being intentional and deciding present. So maybe they'll have questions when they will practice and see if it works or it doesn't work for them.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand what you said. They have no questions right now?
No, there's no questions, no.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay. So how do we be present, right? Because I can say that, and usually when I say it to people, they say, well, how do I do that? And it's not really, it's a simple thing, but it's not necessarily an easy thing, if that makes sense. So because at any time we have the choice whether we want to go along with that running conversation that we have, or if we want to shift our attention to something else. So if like in the way that conversation can show up, it can show up like if you find yourself comparing yourself to someone else, which is common, right? Or if you start thinking about things that you don't have, like I don't have enough time or money or knowledge or whatever, that's also part of that conversation.
All right, thank you. So that's the question. You might get whatever actually decide to be present. Chakoma chingatambokulaita kuombea labda ambukanda maybe neshakwata byeshingi maybe neshakwata knowledge nyingi maybe you know ingi chitenga sana kwa basi mambo kwa so chali chikanga chako basi mambo kufanya na mrejo kwa situation kunye ko comparison na ingi compare na. Thank you.
And other ways that conversation can show up is if you notice that you're thinking in black and white, or it's either this or it either has to be this or it has to be that, or it's all or it's nothing. And when we notice we're thinking that way, that's also part of that conversation that we can get stuck in.
All right, thank you. So balenda tina chimbi chingalinga chapesikwata chimbi chingalinga chakubatinga mwarisha chifunda inyenjekiro kubaka olonaba bantu ngashiyaka expectancy kweli. So ichona china turenge shakuba turento kanya kuzenda nei chitokwetawe kule na kwa despair, so it's better I don't know. Actually no party mwakonka nyamulezo tukana. Thank you.
So that conversation that we all have, like I said, it's very natural. It's simply our brain, the way our brains work. And it's a part of your brain that's constantly looking out for risks. And so everybody has that conversation. And so sometimes we can think, what's wrong with me? Why am I thinking like this? Well, the answer is because you're a person and everybody has that kind of conversation, doubt and worry conversation in their head during the day. The good news. Oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
So that it's no way. Robert of the can you feel it? It's not no way. Situation no more if I tell you no way. Important. We should have all right, thank you.
But the good news is though that as people, we're not only our thoughts, right? Our thoughts aren't all of who we are. We're thoughts, we're spirit, we're feelings and all that stuff all together. And so the good news about that is that we can choose if we want to stay in that conversation that we're having with ourselves or not, because we don't have to. So we have the option of looking at our, kind of taking a step back and being like, oh, these are just my thoughts. And then we can choose where we're going to put our attention. We can move it from here to here whenever we want to.
All right, thank you. So that's 3 thing. Hello, it's normal to never competition to swap at time. But no bad chaba important in the party. We change kind of anything and get to make how it was in Saudi or Marcelo Pluma to talk at my Marcelo way for them. Not a play Shannon. Okay, thank you.
So I say all that to say that that's part of being able to find the balance in life, because there's balance between that conversation and where we choose to put our focus. So we can always shift from that conversation and, okay, thank you thoughts. And I'm going to be present with giving myself some time, so when I am trying to give myself some downtime and all those thoughts come of all the things that I'm supposed to be doing, I can, I consciously decide, no, thank you. I am going to be present right here because this is something that is important to me and it's something that I know I need.
All right, thank you. So, but then that's life of prayer, it's really important to define. From the way that having trying to rest is important. No washirika mwanjiro na mwana mbokwa tena kutoka nyaya kwa watu mbongo pisa kumbe na abantu ni katika sifa tukera mbeleni. Waisa iba yes, initial focus bakama conversation naya. Let me focus on me having rest. What do you guys feel of Kalamia? It draw you away if you have to do anything. Yes, so focus your intention. Thank you.
Any questions so far?
So, but I'm not appreciating. Okay, mom, pastor. Listen, I'm gonna move. So, okay, mom, I'm appreciating. How to decide to present, you know, which that and the damage. Nine important. So, the Catherine at the back who has a salon, she was asking that how do you really decide like which time is supposed to be your free time and the time is supposed to be work time? Even in an instance where maybe your business has been very bad, and you know, like I'm supposed to stay home, but you know, if I don't go, my business will go down and probably I won't even have money for these children. So like in such situations, how do you decide? Should you just go? Because if you don't go, your business is going to go down and you said that you need to have time for the children. Then at the back where romance contributed to say you just have to find time because it's important to also just find time with your children or even clean up your clothes, wash and cook. So the question is with Sharon or is with Catherine. Like how can you just balance the fact that maybe your business is not going so well, and in as much as business people will depend on sales.
Right.
So yeah.
I understand. And I can relate because if I don't do therapy sessions, I don't get paid. Right? If I don't do coaching sessions, I don't get paid. I had COVID and I worked, which I'm not advocating anybody do that, but I do understand where you're coming from. So I would say that I think it's about accepting that, yes, there are times when we are going to make that choice. And so I would say it's shifting from the I have to, which is like when somebody tells you you have to do something, it kind of feels a certain way. And deciding if you're willing to, because have to comes from out here, but what you're willing to do comes from inside.
So, in as much as now we should we didn't have married for the Japanese or one stand of an and one hour. Feel free day, put you you have to. Then you achieve children, are you willing? You know that okay, this is good out over there. Are you willing to stay home? And if you're willing, probably you'll find a way out to cover up. So it's about do you have to or are you willing? So you always go with because what you have to do, but willing is coming from your heart. Thank you.
And what I personally have also learned is to be willing to accept that some things aren't going to get done at home necessarily the way I want them to. You know, case in point, right now, my son's bedroom is kind of a mess. It's just going to be that way today because so accepting that certain things maybe won't get done at home exactly when you would want them to, or in the way you would want them to right now. And incorporating your kids into some things in ways that they can help. Like my son is 7. So I've I wash his clothes. Like I get him to help me load the washer and whatever, but he has to put his clothes away. So that's at least one part of the task that I don't have to do. You know, and so if there are even small ways, you know, he just started emptying one of the smaller trash cans in the house and bringing it downstairs. That's something he can do. That's one less thing for me to do.
Thank you. So, Valanda, si mo na sa kaya now, for example, business, and now we're going to come and it's not a time that you manage. Sometimes it's too work. And it's important much to accept that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Or if not, any thoughts that are coming up for you ladies?
And then I'm going to say, so, Catherine has said she has learned to balance. She has understood that nothing between business and family, they are all important, because business will probably give you money to be able to take care of your family. In your family, you're supposed to give the blood to your family. You do everything you do for them. So she has said what she has learned is that what's important is to just strike a balance between the two and not be one-sided.
Yeah, I agree. And what does balance even look like for you? Because we all get to decide what balance looks like for us and what we're comfortable with. And understand that, you know, no scale is like forever balanced, right? No scale is like is always going to go like this. So there might be times, there will be times when work might take precedence, and there will be times when you choose your family to take precedence. And I think that being willing to acknowledge that fact that sometimes things will get off balance, I also think is important.
All right, so that's it. The color says K1. You also type of say. It's important question that business. So that's it. First thing, thank you.
I will say for me, part of keeping family as in the balance, put it that way, is having some routines with my family. So, you know, we eat dinner together. That's important to me. My son and we spend time in the evenings, you know, I'll read a story to him or we'll chat. I put him to bed, you know, little things like that. That if you can, it doesn't have to be a whole lot of time because of course you're tired at the end of the day. But if you have these little routines built in, then that's something that can nourish you because you're connecting with the people that you love. And it also nourishes them because you're giving them attention.
All right, thank you. So, Valanda, For example, in about the routine, Imongabana that after everyone like that's their routine. Then most more plans are routine. Kulingana na my interest ya na wale kwa mama na ndio kwa hiyo one that's okay after every 2 weeks or after everyone making away the one so thinking again mwasara fetching because the most na kata chao being time is family that's not being fairly feel mwasara mwadio kwa chanchani bali bitamweni but kama unaenda kufanya after 2 weeks, we have to do this. If you saw, back na mind there, back land that it's normal. After 2 days, more. Not fair. And yes, it goes like that. Someone didn't know what's happening. So you were doing all these things for people that don't even feel like they know because why? Payment, but if you have a routine, understanding between what you defining. All right, thank you.
So what other thoughts or, are coming up for you ladies?
It's blended the kind of full feeling the kind of something. So redundancy. Di mo tunakuwa but that's it. That's it. So I go to All right, thank you. So there was a question by Elizabeth. She was saying sometimes you might want to spend time with your family, like have dinner or anything, but that is prevented, especially when you think about the fact that, okay, I'll spend money and I don't spend this money, it's going to affect my business. So that's the challenge why, even when you say, oh, let me have time with my family or have dinner, that's why she doesn't do that. Then Catherine at the back, she said, if money is a challenge to you spending time with your children, maybe on your free time off from your original big business, you can have a small business that you can get there and spending time together and still raising money to be able to do all those things that can sponsor your family direction to like keep going out.
Yeah, I think it requires a little creativity, right? So maybe everything doesn't have to be a trade-off all the time. If there's a way to incorporate them both. You know, if you can find that way, then I think that creativity is always good.
They have said no thoughts are good.
Sorry, what'd you say?
So they have said they have no contribution.
Oh, okay. All right. So I guess we're getting close to the time. So I think, oh, that's what I wanted to get to, sorry. So, you know, getting support. Some of us, you know, have trouble asking for help. Some of us don't. And some people, I'll speak for myself too, I can wait way too long before I say I need help or I need a break. And so it's so easy, right, to get wrapped up in the day-to-day and the work and the family and everything. And you know that you need some help, or you know that you're tired, but you keep putting it off. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of having support.
All right, thank you. So, but then that's you tell the cancer of work different. That's one point shape learning. So, but then the send the support to my friend. Thank you.
I know for myself, I'm not always good at asking for support. You know, when I need, to ask someone if they can just take my son for, like, my parents, grandparents. You think, it'd be easy to ask grandparents, right, to babysit. But I struggle with that same kind of conversation we were talking about earlier. All these thoughts, asking them to babysit too much. Are they going to get mad at me? Maybe they're tired of babysitting, or maybe all these things that come up in my head. That then when I focus on that conversation, I'm not asking for the help that I need, right? And so therefore I'm not getting the help. And so that's another opportunity for me to just be like, okay, these are just my thoughts. I need some help and it's okay. So I'm going to ask for the help that I need.
All right, thank you. So, whenever you feel people around you, for example, now, may I can do example for myself. Yeah, I do my graphics. So let's see, maybe I have a lot of people that I need to wait for. And I don't want to lose out on customer time. Okay, fine, so then maybe you can let's do it. You get the thing. So now if I move to ask for help, I'm like shaman to what the put up your one is one of the better. But then the nation standing there and that there's like you don't know that to be there. Right? So try very important to support in any way. That I'm referring to you don't have to close down. Why do shaman? Why now I get a shop so that's it. I want to have a shop because you can't do it on your own. That's when you will question it. This is more what's you want to do your so very important. Ukwa kulomba help for support. Thank you.
So I just wanted to ask, does anyone else struggle with getting, asking for help when you need it, whether it be business-wise or family-wise?
So, balik sa question 9, I'm going about what we support. Mereka sama cara Jesse na saya sebelum haji macam kali berapa kita sama cara Jesse. Okay. All right, so Romance at the back, who has a restaurant, she's saying she's trying to seek help. For example, maybe from workmates, from people around, you know. But a challenge, so she's sharing a story when she used to sell clothes, second-hand clothes. So she's saying if it was the challenge was that if it was her selling, she will sell more, everything will be okay. But the moment she just decides to say, I'm not feeling okay, can you please sell for me? You'll find that the person she leaves will just come and maybe not even sell at all, maybe say business was bad, have all those complaints. So in her thoughts, like that person used to probably steal from her, or maybe when she sells something and replaces it with something. So in my experience in seeking help, it was so challenging because business wouldn't go as perfect it would with herself than when she asked for help.
So you're saying that it's hard to find actually good help, good support the business.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I haven't had to hire anyone myself, like for my own business, but I've worked in other areas where I've had to hire people, and yes, you're right. And so sometimes having help, somebody there to help you isn't necessarily always helpful, right? And then we can get into that idea, well, I might as well just do it myself because, but then we get tired because we're doing everything ourselves. So I think the thing is to not give up looking for help. Even if it doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that there's not someone out there who can help you in the way that you need. It might take time, which just means it's not going to be easy necessarily, but it can happen, because if the alternative is to just do everything yourself, and then your business gets bigger, you're still doing everything yourself, then you're putting your own self, at risk of your health and your mental health and all that.
All right, thank you. So Madam, yes, it's not a help, but see, the discussion with Sunday, they being the work of Sanga, they can help. For example, yapsta hayo but once yeah, okay, kwa wote tunapendeza so okay professor so by the end of the day na mwisho kama sana mleka mwambia yuko imani ya partners, you can be of good help to each other because when we're expensive, then you just employ someone who doesn't really even know your debt. Yeah, they can be silly, but to find someone who correctly, take a partner in both same career, so you can still find help and better ways of finding help in finance. Thank you.
I see we're coming up close to 10 o'clock. Are there any other comments or questions before we wrap up?
And no, thank you.
Okay. So I want to thank you, all of you, for coming today. And I'm wondering, would any of you mind sharing with me, one thing that you are taking away from our conversation today?
All right, thank you. So Catherine has said one thing she's taken away is the importance of having free time and making sure that the body can rest. Because in as much as you can be able to do everything, when you do it consistently, the body gets tired. So sometimes it's important to rest. And also, when there is need to do something and there's a willing to do something, she rather go with something that she's willing to do because it comes from the heart. And also, just in general, balancing between family and business. So, when the family is going so well, everything is perfect, it's important not to forget about your business and vice versa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I love that. Yeah.
Okay, so Barmas at the back has said, with everything she said and adding on just like time, like it's important to just put up time for business and time for family. All right, so Daliso, I said one thing she has learned is asking for help or rather getting support. And she said it's important to also get support in a smart way. For example, if employing people, they are stealing away from you, it's important to get support in form of finding a partner who is doing the same thing so that you put money together. That way you all have the same vision, wanting the same thing, so your partner can't steal from you. So that's one of the other ways you can get support. That's so. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I very much enjoyed our time together today. I see that all of you are very much care about your families, you love your families, you're very invested in your businesses, and I really wish you nothing but great success in both areas.
All right. Thank you so much, Leslie. Thank you. So yes, let's have our group photo before we all go. Okay, let me see those smiles.
You all look lovely, by the way.
All right, I got it. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, Leslie. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Bless you too. Have a good
All
day.
right, bye.
Bye.